Hello everybody and welcome to Top 5 New Comics for February 12th of 2025. I am as always Chris, and we got a cool slate of books this week, so let's jump right in, starting with Batman Dark Patterns number 3. This is written by Dan Watters with art by Hayden Sherman and colors by Triona Farrell. This was the second time that Dark Patterns goes against Absolute Batman, and there were so many great books coming out this week that I really only wanted one Batman book in my top 5, so Dark Patterns just won out. It's quickly become my favorite Batman book on the market. The detective work of it, the uniqueness of the villain, the way the story is being told, the great art by Hayden Sherman, just everything about it is coming together for this really awesome Batman story. And while I'm excited about the story we're telling right now, we know that there are other cases that we're going to see inside of the series as well, and that also gets me excited, how they connect and how Dan and Hayden make those stories flow and all these different things. But for this issue in particular, we are with the We Are Wounded storyline with this great villain that has all these different screws and nails and thumbtacks and everything stuck in his body and different pressure points, and just having to see Batman not only figure out this case using his detective work, which, as we always say, the world's greatest detective doesn't use his detective skills all that often, so it's really great to see him use it when he does. But also, that's brought out because this villain demands it, because he's not somebody you can just beat up and throw in prison. As soon as you throw the wrong punch, you could kill him, breaking Batman's code. So there's a lot of really cool things going on with this book, and I just really love what they're doing here. And at its core, this reminds me of when Chip did Batman First Night, and the possibility that Dan could be taking over as the permanent Batman writer once Hush 2 was done has me excited. It just feels like him trying to prove that he has the chops to hold that book and make it great. And so far, 2 issues in, I gotta say, I would be stoked at that announcement. So I really just can't recommend this series enough. If you're a Batman fan, it's just been some of the best Batman stuff out there, and there's been a lot of it, and that's saying a lot because Absolute Batman's been really great. The Batman proper book with Chip's been really great, and some of those side books, the Black Label books, everything, have been really good too. So just super excited to continue on with Dark Patterns. After that, I have Aquaman number 2. This is written by Jeremy Adams with art by John Timms and colors by Rex Lokus. We had that great first issue, bringing back Arthur Curry as Aquaman. He's got some new powers. He's trying to figure those out, working alongside Mera, doing all these cool things, fighting a giant water kaiju. It was a great first issue for an Aquaman book, with that character being gone for so long. Talked about a million times. DC, kind of the masters of letting a character sit or a team sit and then bringing them back with a bang. That's what they did with Aquaman. And after that first issue, I'm just super excited to have a great Aquaman book again. We have a great creative team here. They did a great job reintroducing the character to the world and showing what their version of Aquaman is. Right off the bat, destroying Atlantis. Just a huge swipe of the plate here. So much good happened in that first issue, and it got me super excited for Aquaman again. Aquaman's one of my favorite DC characters. Like, such an underrated character, always trashed on, picked on, rightfully so in a lot of cases, but the more modern Aquaman is just so badass in so many ways, and I love what they're doing here. And then we're gonna figure out at the end of that issue, spoilers for issue 1, I guess, but we see him with this pearl that was left after the destruction of Atlantis, and he takes it to this gate that I jokingly called a Krakoan gate because it was covered in seaweed and everything underwater, and when it's revealed, it's the Omega symbol for Darkseid. I predicted, and I'll predict here, I feel like this is him entering the Absolute Universe, and this is going to be our first crossover into that. That's probably a little extravagant for an Aquaman book, but man, would that be exciting. More than likely, it's going to connect to Apocalypse in some way. And to see Aquaman on Apocalypse, an Apocalypse that's burdened by no longer having a dark side and trying to figure everything out, whatever way they go with it, it's exciting. I just love that first issue, and I can't wait to see what Jeremy and John and team have in store for us for the future of this book. Just Aquaman's so good. And after that, I have One World Under Doom, number 1. This is written by Ryan North with art by R.B. Silva and colors by David Curiel. Here we are. We're at the big moment. Doctor Doom is going to take center stage in the Marvel Universe. We saw him get the powers of the Sorcerer Supreme. We've been seeing him here and there in different books. He's planning something. Something's happening. He's going to make his big move. And now we're going to figure out what that is. And I'm a sucker for a good event book. I feel like event books at its core are the most comic book thing out there. I know some people have some issues with them, feel like they're overdone, all of that. I don't care. One of the things that made me fall in love with comics was the big event crossover book. Was getting all these great characters that I love together to fight one big bad evil, or to just have one big event together where you really, really feel that they live in the world together. I will say, I think Marvel as a whole, there are great exceptions here. I enjoyed Blood Hunt and some other ones. Hasn't been as strong on their event game. So we'll see where this one goes. But you don't get bigger and badder than Doctor Doom. Just having him have the Sorcerer Supreme powers, him deciding that this world needs to be united under Doom. These are all very Doom-like things. I've loved when he's popped up in the other books I've been reading. I'm really excited to see some of the side books that they've announced for this series. I always get ultra hyped and excited about a good event book, and here we are with One World Under Doom. And let's see where it goes, because I'm hoping it goes to something great. And after that, I've got Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, The Bad Batch, Ghost Agents number 1. That's a mouthful. This is written by Michael Moreci with art by Reese Hannigan, inks by Inker-Elisabetta D'Amico, and colors by Michael Atiyeh, with letters by Tyler Smith and Bobby Brandford. Man, I always say this when a Star Wars book comes out. I get excited. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is that universe that, since I was a kid, before comics were a thing in my life, I fell in love with. Sitting and watching those movies with my father, going to see those prequel movies as a child. Just everything Star Wars has been in my life for so long. I name my pets after Star Wars characters. I have Star Wars stuff all around me all the time. I love Star Wars. And one of the great things for the longest time about Star Wars for me was, not only was Dark Horse making these great Star Wars titles that I was picking up left and right as I was reading novels and playing video games and just staying immersed in this world, which is always funny to me when people say it's oversaturated. It's always been oversaturated. You're just now getting TV shows about it. But just staying immersed in this world that I loved so much. And we had this one shining hope on TV, and it was Star Wars: The Clone Wars. The Clone Wars was a show. I remember seeing the movie in theaters, the animated movie, which was really just a couple of episodes stitched together so they could do a theater release. I remember watching these episodes week after week as they were coming out, just loving this show, loving the new characters that were involved, like Ahsoka Tano and everything. And then Disney Plus came along, Disney bought Lucasfilm and everything, and a lot of things changed for Star Wars. Some for good, some for bad. Those debates are for another show. One of the great things they did was they did another season of Clone Wars, the final season of Clone Wars. And out of that was birthed this team, the Bad Batch, which got their own animated show that I really, really enjoyed. It's the misfit group of stormtroopers from pre-Empire. It's these guys who were bred to have these specialties but weren't seen as the same as the other clone troopers. It was this cool show of the misfit toys of the Star Wars universe. And we haven't seen much of them in any of the comic book stuff. I believe they've shown up in a few stories here and there. But now, for the first time, they're getting their own comic. And for the most part, I've stayed away from the Dark Horse Star Wars stuff. They have been getting the all-ages version of Star Wars, which I'm glad exists and are out there, and I've heard some really great things about. But there's enough Star Wars content for me on the Marvel side that I'm really loving. I never really dove into it, with some exceptions. And this is one of them. To get the Bad Batch back again in their own comic series with a great writer behind them, with a great creative team creating the comic, I'm just super excited about everything we have here. And I cannot wait to see how this translates to a comic book series. I've expressed over and over again how much I love Star Wars here and how much this particular show means to me, that being Clone Wars. So to see it get more and more love is something very special to me. And I cannot wait. This is the book. Wednesday, when I come home, the first book that first book you pick up and you read, this is it right here. And that's not to say anything bad about any of the other books. There's a lot of great books coming out this week, and a lot of stuff that might even be better than this book. I don't know. But this is the one that just hits me in the right way. I'm definitely going to be picking this up and reading it. After that, we will end with Bug Wars #1. This is written by Jason Aaron, with art by Mohab Assar, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by Becca Carey. This is the creative team, Jason and Mohab, of the Conan the Barbarian book back at Marvel. When these two got together, they're the ones that first introduced me to really falling in love with Conan. Not just a character that I enjoyed here and there, but one that has turned into a fandom in ways. And while I was late to the party on Conan, and I'm willing to admit it, it's always good to acknowledge the creators that brought you to that world. And these are the two guys right here. Jason's a writer that no matter what he writes, I'm going to try at the very least. I've always loved his stuff, what he's done at Marvel, some of the independent stuff he's done over the years, and there's stuff I still need to catch up on from his past. But I just always love a good Jason Aaron book. And I was really excited to see him, well, I was sad to see him leave Marvel. I was really excited to see him jump into new avenues and new ventures, especially the creator-owned space. So to see him take on this book in particular made me very happy to see him reconnect with an artist and a team that I really loved from a previous book they did together, and to do something, while similar, very different. And if you don't know, basically, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids if it was Conan the Barbarian getting shrunk, and he enters this world of bugs and creatures in someone's backyard that's primitive in so many ways. While it's not something brand new in terms of the idea here, I think the team here coming together for something unique could be cool. So I'm really stoked for this book. I think Image has a really cool limited series on their hands for this one, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for us, the readers, on this one. It's super exciting. Image has got some really cool books coming out. They've tailored some really cool creative people, and always have. I mean, it's Image Comics. That's kind of goes without saying, but I'm super excited about Bug Wars and to see what Jason and have in store. So everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did and you want to follow me in my other ventures, there's always Fortress Comic News Podcast, where me and my co-host Mike talk about comic book news, what we're reading that week, and we also talk to a comic creator every week on that show as well. And then also you can go to my Substack, which is chriscomicscorner.substack.com, where we do a bunch of cool stuff there as well. And if you want to support this video and this channel, best ways to do it: like the video, comment down below about which one of these is your favorite or which book isn't on my list that should be, those kinds of things, and subscribe to make sure you get these videos every week. And I appreciate y'all watching these videos, sitting through these videos. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I'll see y'all here next week.